This is Sandy Tankus, and I'm here today with Judy Greenberg. And Judy Greenberg runs Gasak. Why don't you tell us what that is, Judy?
Gasak is Grandparent Advocate Supporting Autistic Kids, and it's a name that was developed about 20 years ago.
Okay, and what is your interest in this organization?
Well, I run the organization at this particular time, and it's a support system for the grandparents when their children get the diagnosis of autism, because they don't know where to go, and it's somewhere that they can go and get some of the answers that they need.
Okay, and your interest is you have an association personally with autism?
Yes, I do. My granddaughter Hannah is on the spectrum and doing very well, and she is a terrific child.
And so, if as parents we get a phone call from one of our children, and they're very upset because they've just gotten a diagnosis on one of their children, and they've learned that their child is on the spectrum. Okay, so what do we as grandparents do to help our children to cope?
Well, we try to listen to the words that they've just given us, because a lot of times we have so many questions, and hear what they have to say, and then develop the rapport of, questions and answers as they're able to deal with it. Because in the beginning, the diagnosis is so overwhelming that they really can't deal with too much more. So what I found, and what I always tell my grandparents, is wait a little while and let them, swallow it and deal with it however they are. And the grandparents are kind of locked out for the first time period, which could be 3 months, it could be 6 months. What I find is most people go online, which is sometimes not the best thing to do.
Why is that?
Because you really should check out the organizations and not read everything that you get online, because a lot of it is inappropriate information. I remember my husband starting to do all of his research online, and there were so many different things that were put out there that it was very confusing. So then I started my own research and went to different groups that might be available to me to find out more information in our local area.
Well, are there particular issues that become more difficult for parents, our children as parents, to handle, that we can be specifically helpful with at any point?
Well, I think the biggest thing is the loss of dreams, because everybody feels that they had wanted their grandchild or their child to do a certain thing in life, and then all of a sudden it's taken away in a second, and they just don't know what to do and how to go with it. And what I've found is most of my grandparents have that seems to be their biggest problem, as given to them by their children.
And are there particular coping mechanisms that can be helpful, that we can pass on or use ourselves?
What we usually do is we try to have many informational things at my grandparents group, so that the grandparents get the right information from specific people who are trained in the field. And by doing that, it kind of, we absorb it, and then we give it to them when they need that particular information.
But there's nothing you can point to as saying this or that or the other thing are issues that are usually of more concern or more problematic than other issues.
No, it's the schooling, it's the districts, it's just an overall overwhelming thing. Well, how is, here's my grandchild, and they're 2.5 years of age, and they've got a whole day of school, and 2.5-year-olds are supposed to be in a play group and having a good old time for themselves, and they can't, because they're being taught.
I too have an autistic granddaughter, and certainly I've been through all of the above as as a grandparent, as all of us have been. And there's been a lot of talk about the vaccinations, and now the vaccinations, that whole thing has been discredited. Do you have any opinion on that at all, without mentioning names?
No, I really don't. I believe that the genetics are involved, definitely. This was brought up to light. This was brought to light when we were actually in San Diego. After Hannah got diagnosed, we went to a DAN convention, and Amy's pediatrician had recommended that we go there. And I sat through a lot of the conferences, and 3/4 of the conference were people who had gotten new diagnosis. So we were in the right ballpark. And the doctors, that even at that time, said it was genetic and environmental. So they really don't know what the environmental trigger is.
So bottom line, is there like one bit of advice that you can give to grandparents that would be very helpful, standing on one foot, sort of, so to speak?
I would suggest that they hang in there, give the information when it's asked for, and never try to step over that boundary, because it doesn't really help. The children have to be ready to hear it. It's a very, it's a lifelong situation, and it's not going to go away as we think it do. There'd be different parts of it that will get better, but it doesn't work that way. So I have a child with a disability as well. She has a physical disability, and I know from that perspective that my child really had issues all of her life and still continues to have them, even though she's a functioning person of society. And what you have to understand is that you have to be there, heart and soul, no matter what the situation is, and try to help them help themselves.
Thank you so much, Judy.
You're welcome.